Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. This show is brought to you by Oakley Trucking, headquartered in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The purpose of this podcast is to communicate with Oakley owner-operators and their families by giving them up-to-date information concerning Oakley Trucking and the trucking industry, from business advice to safety updates to success stories. Also to give an insight to outside truck drivers that might be interested in joining the Oakley family. Hi, I'm Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is episode 37. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking to dispatch again. We're going to talk to a couple of great guys that haven't been with us just very long, but have shown great dispatcher skills for the time they've been here. We're going to find out a little bit about them and also how they deal with their truck drivers every day. So stay tuned for a great episode. We're looking forward to meeting these guys. First, though, before we get started, let's check in with Vickie Chastain on this week's Need to Know segment.
Did you know that Oakley Trucking puts out a calendar each year filled with photos of our owner-operators and the beautiful sights that they see while out on the road every day? If you have a great picture of your truck and trailer and want to submit it for the calendar, or you have questions on how to take a high-quality photo for the calendar, email me at vchastain@bruceoakley.com. We send these calendars out to all of our customers and owner-operators. We accept these pictures throughout the year and are constantly working on calendar pictures. I'm Vickie Chastain, and that's this week's Need to Know segment.
Okay, folks, let's dive into this episode with Peyton Clark and Alex Ken. We're going to visit with these guys a little bit on in-dump dispatch and meet them, see how their days go, and communicate with, you know, not only their owner-operators, but all their owner-operators and families, too, to get a little insight. Pick their brain a little bit, too, about how they make some decisions every day that affects a lot of people. And want to just see how they do that every day. I think it'll be good. So let's start off first. First of all, how you guys doing? Y'all all right?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. Loving life, man.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't you loving this new office? When are you guys going to come over here to the corporate side?
No idea. It's always a treat whenever we get to come over, though.
It's a treat, isn't it? Yeah. So let's start off with Peyton Clark. Let's Peyton, give us a little bit of history on you, just so our listeners know who you're talking to.
My name's Peyton Clark. Been here at Oakley dispatching in-dump since December last year. I started out in the shop late October, so I've been here a little over a year. Before that, I worked at JB Hunt in safety and did that for 7-8 months. And that was definitely a lot different than what we do now.
Yeah,
totally different side. Two different worlds in the trucking industry is, you know, working in safety and then now in dispatch, but it carries over a little bit. And
so you started. Now, did you go to JB Hunt
right out of college? Went to Arkansas Tech.
Arkansas Tech in Russellville.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from?
Northwest Arkansas, Jasper.
Mm-hmm. Up in the hills.
Up in the hills.
Are you a hillbilly?
No, maybe a little.
A little bit. Got a little bit in you.
Yeah,
that's all right. That's good. So, grew up in Jasper, went to
Jasper High School, and then graduated from there in 2015. Went to Arkansas Tech in Russellville, graduated in 2019. Immediately started working in JB Hunt.
Did you get a degree for that?
No, well, it was emergency management.
Management.
So a lot of the risk management type stuff was part of it, and so really not anything to do with trucking in particular. I mean, I wasn't in there taking logistics courses or anything like that, but, you know, it transitioned over into it.
Okay. And then how'd you get on to Oakley?
Man, I really had just been looking on Indeed at jobs and seen that, and I did my research on Oakley. Beforehand, I looked at, you know, some of the safety records. I had access to all of that stuff at JB Hunt. Was, you know, I could punch in a DOT number and look at, you know, how many trucks, how many trailers, leased on, all that. And I remember sitting in my interview with you after I applied, and didn't know who you were, what you did at Oakley at all, and telling you, I don't know who does the recruiting here, but just based off you guys' safety record, that was impressive to me. Had no idea who you were.
Right.
But I remember saying that, and I asked around. My grandpa actually had about a 5 to 10 truck fleet of flatbeds up in Northwest Arkansas. And I asked him about Oakley, and he, had nothing but good things to say. And I just figured, being a dispatcher, applying for that job, I'd want to come to Oakley because, I feel like it'd be easier to manage the best of the best rather than just anybody who comes through. And that proved to be true. I came over here and some great guys work here. It's really, really good.
Yeah, we got some good ones. So did you move to Little Rock, or where you live?
I live in Conway now.
Okay.
I moved down there after I got the job. Just moved down here and been here ever since.
Good deal. Good place.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Alex? Tell us a little bit of history on you, man. And, well, before you start, and you back up, you did say you dump dispatch, right?
Yep.
You've been doing it for a year.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Alex, what you got? Tell us where you're from, man.
I'm Alex Ken. I'm actually from Plano, Texas, and wound up in Arkansas by going to the University of Arkansas up in Fayetteville.
Yeah.
WPIG. And, my degree was in supply chain. So I always knew I wanted to work for a trucking company and just wasn't sure which one. Had a bunch of friends from college from Beebe, Arkansas, whose family members and friends and other people they knew worked for Oakley. So
really?
Yes, sir. I always heard great things. So once I graduated and a little before I graduated, I was searching for jobs. And on Indeed, one day I just scrolled across Oakley and I said, well, let me apply and see what happens.
Heck yeah.
The next morning, I think I applied at 8 p.m. The next morning, I got a call from Scott Cowden saying, hey, we want you to come in here. When can you come? And I was actually down in Texas at my parents' house still. And I said, well, I'm down in Texas right now. I'll be up there next week, though. And he said, perfect. Let's get you in here Monday. Came in there. Everything went smoothly. Had some great conversations with people. Interview, I think, was about 2 to 3 hours long. And it seemed like it was 15 minutes just talking to some good old boys. So, and then I actually started a little before Peyton. I started in the shop in July 2019. And then I went to the office in September, end of August, early September. And, a lot of my owner operators that I talk to every day, they didn't even know that we start off in the shop. And so we have a lot of knowledge on the trailers, the tires, airbags, the tarp, and everything. And, we've done it ourselves fixing it, which gives us great knowledge to do our jobs.
Aren't you so glad you guys did that?
Yes, sir.
I know at the time you wasn't.
Hated it at the time.
Especially in July and August. It was hot.
But see how that's already helped you? You've
Yes,
been
sir.
In dispatch
It really
for a
has.
year, and I wished I'd have done that when I started because it just makes a world of difference if you know what's going on with those trailers. And then the owner-operator is surprised
Yes,
what's
sir.
going on with it, doesn't he?
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That works out nice to do that. So you, Texas, so I guess right out of college.
Yes, sir.
This your first job?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
First official job.
First official job. Right.
But it's definitely hard work, time consuming for being young,
It is.
getting thrown out in the world, but I really enjoy it.
What do you guys do on the weekends besides answer the phone?
Yeah.
We know that. What do you guys do on the weekends? What's your hobbies?
Hunt and fish. I like to go up back to Northwest Arkansas and hunt and fish. And
You got some land up there. Your parents still live up Jasper?
Yeah, my parents got probably a little over 200 acres up there. Can run around. Got Buffalo River right there.
Close, yeah. That's nice.
Tons of public land. Do about all you want.
That's good. So you do a lot of hunting and fishing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You been yet this year?
Yeah. I haven't had no luck, but I went. I guess it opened late September, and I've went probably at least every other weekend. But
what about you, Alex? What do you do on the weekends?
Well, I like to hunt and also cook a lot too, but
Oh, you cook a lot?
yes, sir.
Really? What do you cook?
Well,
Whatever. You like the grill, or you actually do cooking in the
I like
kitchen type stuff?
both actually, and I've also got a pellet smoker too. So I was actually meaning to bring you some deer I shot a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I ground it up, put in some jerky seasoning, and squirted it out in a jerky gun and smoked it. So I've got a bunch of that I need to bring over here for y'all.
Nice.
The guys in the old office had some last week.
Did they?
I'll bring some over here tomorrow or the next day.
Heck yeah, man. We like this stuff.
Yes, sir. But I'm lucky enough where my girlfriend's dad has a land back in Subiaco, Arkansas. So he's nice enough to let me hunt whenever I want. And
So neither one of y'all married, kids, or anything, right?
no, sir.
Young.
Not yet.
How old are y'all?
I am 23.
I'm 23.
Wow. I started when I was 23.
Really?
I sure did. 23 years old. I didn't have a clue about trucking, but still don't have much of a clue, but a little bit better than
a little bit more.
then. Yeah, it's nice. So, all right, well, I think that's good. You know, like for our listeners or mostly our owner operators to understand that you guys have who you are. I mean, you're human beings first of all, and you got lives besides trucking, and you do other things. And I think it's good for our listeners to hear that. But also, I was wanting to talk about some of the responsibilities you guys have, and maybe some of the goals you have every week. You might give our listeners an idea of what you do every day. You know, like I don't know whether it's day-to-day activity or what your goal is for the week, you know, to make sure all the trucks have loads. Start with you, Alex, and give us a little idea of what you look to do every time you come in on Monday morning.
Well, on a day-to-day basis, obviously dispatching trucks, creating planes for them, and, just trying to manage it all, chasing down paperwork every day, but more on a weekly basis, obviously going through settlements, and all the dispatchers try to keep an eye on the settlements, and we like to look for drivers that hadn't had as good of a week the week before, so we can make sure we help them out and hopefully get a better week, which is something I really like about Oakley is, we try to look out for everybody, and we all got to be team players.
Yeah,
So-
talk about the office environment a little bit.
Well, right now it's a little confusing because half the guys are in the new office, half the guys are in the old office. Well, I'm sorry, just dispatches in the old office.
Well, in the new office, we've got the hoppers,
Yes, sir.
and in the
Sorry,
old office, all the dumps. So all the dump guys are together.
dumping the tank.
But how does that? I know you guys have spread out over there, but how does that work over there? I mean, communicating with each other.
There's definitely a lot of yelling, hollering out. My guy broke down here. Who can cover this load? A lot of communication going on the whole day, and that's actually what I was kind of looking for when I came out of college. Is not a desk you're going to sit at in a little cubicle and not talk to anybody. Just focus on your computer.
Yeah, and you don't
So-
do that, do you?
No. Ask Peyton. He sits right by me. He hears me talking all day long.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, do y'all communicate quite a bit since you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we sit right across from each other. You can yell out. It used to be a lot easier before, coronavirus stuff and required us to spread out, maintain distance and everything like that. But still, it's just everyone yelling out this, and it's just complete open room.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything and keep it a secret in there. I mean, everyone's gonna know what you're doing.
Everybody knows your business. Well, we've created over the years a lot of friendships with these guys that are in there. When you talk about, the load coordinators that are in there that try to talk to customers and plan for you guys, and then we've separated Kobe and Nick out to where they're trying to stay ahead of the freight even farther, and get new customers and things like that. The plan is to make your job easier so you can plan ahead for these guys and plan them out a little bit better. So that's always a challenge to do. How's freight right now?
Good, very good.
Rocking?
Whole lot better than 6 months ago.
yeah.
Thankfully.
Don't need
Yeah.
trucks?
Yes,
Yes, sir. Very
Yes.
much.
You don't want to think about it?
We've been staying here after hours just trying to cover loads. Trying
to
we're
find
so
a truck
filled
for
up,
it.
and we definitely need new owner operators, more guys coming to Oakley. There's plenty of food for everybody.
What would you tell a new guy? I mean, a recruit listening right now, I know I kind of throw that on there. You might not have time to think about it, but what would you tell a recruit right now about coming to Oakley if he wanted to come to Oakley? Either one of y'all got any input?
Well, I mean, everyone that I know of speaks highly of Oakley. And sometimes, it paints a picture that we're perfect. But like you said earlier, we're all humans. We're all trying to make sure everyone's taken care of. And, it's not a perfect world, but I think Oakley is definitely top 1% of companies to take care of you. So a little bit of no over expectations, but also at the same time, I definitely think, like I was saying, 1%.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys have no issues about making them a living, do you?
No, sir.
No.
I mean, that's that goes without saying. It's your responsibility to make sure they got plenty to do.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to do that? I mean, every day.
Just stay ahead of everybody. Just make sure everyone's on a plan, whether they're needing to get home, whether they want to work that weekend or what. Just make sure everyone's got something to do that works for them.
And how many trucks you got? Did I ask you that yet? How many trucks you got? How many trucks you got?
I've got 44.
I've got 36.
Okay. That's pretty good for being here a year. That's a load right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your toughest challenge?
I would say the toughest thing, and probably at times the most frustrating thing, is there's 10 other dispatchers in there with 40 to 60 guys each, and they all are trying to take care of their set of owner operators, those guys that they talk to every single day. So, everyone's got a story. We're all trying to make sure our owner operators make a living, and because we're the ones that are going to have to talk to them. And I think that causes tensions to flare in the office at times because everyone is doing the same thing, trying to take care of owner operators, make sure their guys are getting miles, make sure their guys are getting their home time, make sure their guys aren't sitting around waiting on them, and multiply that by 400. We got that over there.
Yeah, when you're dealing with that many, I mean, it's hard to coordinate that because you want to. The goal is, though, the Oakley goal is the closest truck get the load.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all practice that over there, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to. I mean, that's how you maximize profit.
Mm-hmm.
Learned that in college, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Supply chain. You got to be able to do that for the company to make sure you're getting the right truck. But I can see, I mean, it's the same way it was when I was dispatching. You're trying to take care of that guy. He needs that load. He needs that miles. That's his way home. That's what, I know it works best, but sometimes you gotta do it for the company and what makes the company money.
And something to go into even more detail on that is, if multiple trucks are dumping in the same spot and we've got a load, who gets empty first, and trying to juggle that around while talking to the dispatcher, while talking to your other 30, 40, 50, 60 drivers, makes it complicated sometimes.
Sure it does.
So my thing would be organization, keeping track of everything, whether it's paperwork, your drivers, loads. I myself and Peyton too, every dispatcher in there has their own customers on top of the load planners having their own customers. So I'm still talking to customers too, and so is Peyton and everyone else on top of dealing with drivers. And obviously the load planner has more customers in their pocket that they communicate with, but it just all adds up. So organization is very important.
Yeah, and I think one reason that is, Alex, because we've always been a company that whatever loads that are booked, we're picking those up with Oakley owner operators.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not leaving here until they're all covered.
Mm-hmm.
That's still the case?
Yes, sir.
Pretty much, yeah. That's frustrating. Changed. Yeah, that's frustrating, because you're trying to make sure that customer gets taken care of.
Yep.
And that can be a tough deal, when you got a lot of freight, but it's a great problem to have, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I'm not complaining.
Yep. Makes it tough on you guys though. But hopefully we can get more owner operators pretty soon and help you guys out and run more trucks and even hire some more and grow this place a little bit, because that's the customer demand, is so we can we can grow and move on and keep growing.
Yep.
How about one thing we haven't touched on in a while? Do you have any of your owner operators run Canada?
Yes, I do. I've actually got one. It's going into Saskatchewan tonight.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of guys that don't want to, or does it do?
It seems like anybody who has a passport is willing to go and wants to go, because if you go way up there, you got to come way back down.
Do you guys get? Oh, so they do it for the miles.
Do it for the miles.
Do you guys get a lot of those loads to Canada?
Yeah, and it also depends on the time of year, but we get stuff in Quebec and also Saskatchewan a lot in the summer mostly, but and into the fall and sometimes spring. Not too much winter, obviously, with the snow up there and material freezing. But I actually have one driver who has a passport and he doesn't like going up there.
Right.
And I explained to him, hey, I've even got 800-mile haul going up to Montreal, and he won't like it. He says, no, give it to the next guy. So I said, hey, I tried, but.
Well, I think we really need guys that would like that, would do that. We could haul more freight, because you got customers that want to go to those places. And that's something that I know we don't require it on the end dump side to have a passport and to go, because there's not near as much freight going to Canada as there is on the pneumatic side, which is required on the pneumatics side. But still, have y'all seen any bad problems with that?
Downsides? No, I haven't. And at least what I think, my opinion is, I've talked to that driver before, what's wrong with that? Good miles. I think we pay $150 just to cross the border.
Yeah, we do.
And he won't give me a firm answer on it. And I feel like it's just fear of the unknown.
I think it is too.
Problems of, what if I get up there and I break down, then what? Not being in the United States. And
have you guys had any of that happen since y'all been here?
No.
That's what I try to tell them. It's not very rare, if something goes south up in Canada. I mean, it's very rare that it's happened. Or we couldn't do it all the time. I mean, if it went south, if it was bad problems, we wouldn't do it all the time.
No.
So, but it'd be nice to have a few guys to do it on the dump side. It really would. It'd open it up a little bit more. More miles, more money. That's always good.
It ain't
stuff.
a bad thing.
No. You guys had any problems? We had a few episodes ago. We had a episode on contaminations. Y'all had any experience? What y'all's take on cleaning out trailers and prior product, and what's going on with that right now?
Well, it's obviously pretty important, and I've only had one contamination ever since I got my own drivers. I trained under Scotty Crisco for about 8 months. And Scotty got moved up and split his board between me and Peyton. My first day, which was actually Scotty's week off, he was down in Florida, I think. Driver called in the morning saying, hey, contaminated load.
Oh, no.
And what happened the week before, Friday, where Scotty was kind of coaching both of us up, I talked to the driver. He got loaded with some roofing granules. And he had an issue with the tarp after he loaded, and that's when he told me. Even though I asked before, we went ahead and got the washout. I told him it needs to stay dry. And when he told me that, I had him buy flex tape and flex tape the corner real well. And I checked with Nick Dulaney to make sure he thought it was comfortable too, because he obviously has been here, I think, 15, 16 years and has a lot better knowledge than me. And he said, that looks good. So coming here Monday, and turns out there was 2 big old gashes in the tarp.
Oh,
and
no.
He told me the tarp was fine. So we went through all the effort and time of fixing that back corner on the trailer, and it ended up being something else.
So the load got wet? Is that what
Part
it was?
of the load.
Part of the load.
And even when I asked him, hey, I thought, everything was good. We spent time to fix the tarp, paying extra attention, making sure this product is going to stay dry. And the first thing he said, well, come to think of it, the front door seal has been kind of loose. So he thought it was that, but it turns out there's actually 2 big gashes in the tarp.
Oh, no. Paying attention to that tarp, man.
Very important.
Very important. Very important when you do that, because it makes us look like a bunch of goobers when you get down there and to unload and it's wet and you got a load of wet granules. It does not look good.
And then you got to explain that to the customer.
Yep.
And with that also, customer relations with us, which inevitably hurts the drivers.
Yeah.
Customer gets mad at us if we keep showing up late or not on time.
Don't give you as much freight.
Exactly. They'll go to a different company that they can rely on.
Yeah. Yeah. You had any experiences like that, Peyton?
I haven't had any contaminations really stick out in my mind, but I think, especially in in-dump, there's so much more importance on checking that trailer at times whenever we're switching from so many different commodities.
Yeah.
I'd say in a week, you could haul 4 or 5 different commodities, if not more.
Yeah.
And you could go from hauling scrap metal to a different grade of scrap metal. We haul some stuff out of Iowa that it's like fish scales, but metal. And that gets everywhere. And you can imagine how hard that would be to get out. So you got to really focus on cleaning that out. And more importantly, even after washouts, check. Every time I sit down and talk with a new owner operator, right when they're first out of orientation, I always tell them, I said, don't trust your $3,500, $5,000 escrow to the guys at the Blue Beacon. That ain't no skin off their back.
Right.
If they just halfway wash out your trailer. Pull out, get in there, check around your dog house, check around the bows, roll your tarp, see if anything comes out. Double check everything.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot on that episode of contamination. We covered that really hard, and it still goes on every day. We got to really just stress it. Where you guys need trucks at? Where would you say a good place for us to recruit at? What area of the country?
I'd say Indiana, Ohio, Illinois. We've got a lot of stuff up there. And, a lot of our owner operators, at least I know I do and Peyton does, we have guys that are a lot from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, down in the South. So generally end of the week, we try to bring them home for most of the guys that are wanting to go home on the weekend, which leaves loads up there on Friday that go from Indiana to Illinois harder to cover.
Yeah, good point. So we do need to. We're trying actually to get some more owner operators that live in that area. And are those guys, you think you have a problem getting them home on the weekends?
No, not at all.
Good.
No.
Good. It's out there to do, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were good. We're sitting here talking to Alex, Ken, and Peyton Clark, 2 of the in-dump dispatchers, and just picking their brain a little bit so you owner operators can have an idea of what these guys do and some of their responsibilities every day when they're here at Oakley Trucking. And this is where they spend most of their time, is in this office and talking to owner operators. How's the weekend work? Your phones blow up all weekend?
Some weekends are better than others.
Are they?
Some days I'll get lucky, get no calls or 1 or 2 calls. Sometimes if there's bigger issues, let's say a customer breaks down and you've got 2 or 3 guys loading up there on Saturday, then you're making multiple calls to these guys, relaying the message to our load planner so they can speak with the customer to get an idea of what's going on, and then relaying it back to each and every driver. And especially on Saturday, things move a lot slower because everyone's off.
Yeah.
And so when it takes sometimes 1.5 hours, 2 hours to get an answer, these drivers will be calling you every 15, 20 minutes asking what's going on.
But I know it's frustrating getting those calls at night and on the weekends, but if there's a problem, you need to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
And I think that's what a lot of owner operators need to know is if there's a problem, you need to call you, because you need to communicate with the customers or the load coordinator as soon as you find something out. So don't be scared to call them, guys. Just give them a break.
Yeah.
If it's something that can definitely wait, then but if it's important, we want you to contact us for sure, because we need to know anytime it comes to customer service or something breakdown, can't make a delivery, anything like that, we've got to know. And we don't need to know it Monday morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock.
Immediately.
We need to know it Friday or Saturday where you can get ahead of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you guys work a lot of hours, and you're on call all the time. That's the way it's always been at Oakley, and it's a challenge. But we've been we've always preached this one-on-one dispatch, and we feel like it works with our system, that we want that relationship. And with our owner operators, you are responsible for those guys, to plan them out, to make them money, to get them home. I mean, that's something that we've always done all these years, and we just feel like it works. It's a little challenging sometimes, but you know, for our business model and our plan, it works for us. And we just feel like, you know, the responsibility of taking care of guys. I know when I was dispatching, it was you wanted him to have a good week. Mm-hmm. You felt bad when he didn't have a good week, even if it wasn't your fault. I mean, if a truck breaks down and he's down for 2 days, then you're trying to make it up, you know, and you're trying to help him make it up. Mm-hmm. So he can get back on top of things. And that's y'all see that quite a bit too, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Always trying to do that. I even think it's funny at times, because it almost has nothing to do with us, but we'll brag to each other, to the other dispatchers. Oh, so-and-so had 3,200 miles last week, home on Friday. Check over $4,000. That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. You get to brag about it a little bit, don't you?
Yeah.
What about, throw you a curve here, what about retention? You guys been here a year. Did you have, you know, just so you know, we have a low turnover rate at Oakley. And mm-hmm. I know some weeks it doesn't seem like it because you lose some guys, you know, and it's frustrating to us. What's your thoughts on retention and maybe why guys would quit this company? What's y'all's thoughts on that off the top of your head?
I would think it's just, I mean, every other trucking company has a recruiting department, just the same as we do. And they've probably got a list of people who they're going to, you know, cold call. And especially right now, you know, the economy's really picking back up after the pandemic. There's a lot more freight moving. Guys are getting called, getting promised more money, you know, local jobs. That's what I see a lot on the reasons is found a job he can do at home and make the same money. You know, there's people calling, offering that, promising that. I think that's one of the things that guys are leaving for. Other than that,
there's really not any way of stopping mm-hmm. a local job. Is that, what do you think, Alex, about retention and driver turnover?
First thing I learned in school was high retention is good and turnover is very expensive. And I think it's more of the grass is always greener on the other side of the hill. And especially with this year being a different, kind of a wild, weird year, it's got some people worried. And so when there's other companies calling, promising them, you know, a mountain of gold, whether it's true or not, I feel like they're more willing to go in or try walking over the hill to see what's happening. And, you know, a lot of the times drivers come back to Oakley after 6 months to a year, which is kind of funny to look at.
Yeah, it happens. We get a lot of guys wanting to come back. It's, you know, I think both of you are right. The owner operators are a wanted item. And mm-hmm. that's something that if you're driving a truck, there's no reason you shouldn't have a job. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're just wanted. Everybody's looking for them. Like you said, Peyton, they're getting calls all the time from other companies, you know, trying to recruit them out from under us, just like my recruiting department's doing. Mm-hmm. You know, they're calling people too and trying to get them to look at Oakley and come over here and try to find that good guy to come over here. And it's just, you know, it's hard. It's hard to see when guys leave and you hate it because you put so much time in to getting them over here. And then you guys have put time into dispatching them, mm-hmm. you know, and trying to take care of them. And you hate to see them leave.
Getting to know them.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's inevitable you're going to lose some guys, but that still doesn't make it feel better. You know, you still want to try to keep them. How do you guys handle your retention? I mean, keeping the guys you got.
I just think it's just like what I said earlier, you know, just fighting for them, you know, getting out there and really trying to make sure that they do well. And
so meeting their needs.
Meet as many needs of theirs as possible, you know, whether it be their miles, money, home time, any other special circumstances. You know, if you got an owner operator who tells you right out the gate, hey man, I really don't like running Wisconsin in the winter or the Northeast. You do your best to keep them out of there within reason.
Yeah, you're right. Meeting those needs, those expectations, transferring from the recruiting department to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We try to be real transparent with everybody, to recruiting department, and we cover expectations with them, and then we tell you what those are, right? You guys get a list from
profile.
A profile from recruiting, so you know what the guy's expecting
Mm-hmm.
and what the recruiter talked about. And in some cases, the recruiter's in there with you in the meeting when you have your first sit down with your owner operator to get him started out of the gate. So we try to be very transparent to where you know his needs too, just like we do. Because as a recruiter, we don't want to promise something we can't deliver.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to do something that you guys can't do. And I think that's just good communication between us, and we try to make it happen. I just, you know, it's never fun to see owner operators leave the company, and you hate that. And thank goodness, you know, we got a low turnover rate, and it's very good to have 865 owner operators, and you know, we lose very few. But it's you know, this is not for everybody. When you're dealing with the dry bulk industry and what we do and how we operate, it's just not for everybody. It's just not gonna please everybody. But good thing I can say is, I mean, I never, and this is, you know, I'm sure there are some, but I never know it. That I never know guys leave mad. If they leave, they don't seem to be mad. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a hey, I want to come back when I get things squared. Or I got to go home, or this truck won't function right, or you know, my health's bad. That's what it seems to be most of it is health, things. Truck, local job that we find,
family time,
family stuff. So a little bit different. So, well, man, I tell you, that's good information from you guys. Y'all think of anything else you want to add? You got any stories you want to tell? Any positive stuff? You get a lot of customers or anything say anything about our owner operators? Y'all heard much?
I have one story. It was right whenever I first started dispatching. I had a guy who was he's loaded out of South Carolina going to a rock place in Georgia, and I had him on a reload out of Atlanta to really top his week off. You know, kind of had a slower week, really needed that Saturday load to really push him over the 3,000 mile mark. And I knew he was running tight. So I called that customer. I said, hey, is there any way? I know you guys quit at 5. I got this owner operator who's looking at getting there about 5:30. You got anyone who could stay? He said, oh, no, we don't really do that. We got to go home. It's Friday. And finally he said, Is this Oakley? And I said, yeah, it's Oakley. Oh, okay. Hey, the gate code is 1234. Yeah. Just have him leave a bill under the thing. So he trusted our owner operators and knew that we hire the best. And he just trusted that we'd go in there and not carry a bunch of stuff off.
That's good.
Screw up a bunch of stuff. But
yeah, that says a lot about you.
Oh, yeah.
Customer and what he thinks about us.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. You got anything, Alex?
Well, I booked some loads a couple months ago out of Hawthorne, Nevada, going over to Bedford, Indiana. And it was actually at a Army depot. And what we were hauling were spent casings. So brass shells of 50 caliber, 30 cal, and 20 caliber.
Yeah.
And we had a few issues over there with the time it took to load. And I actually had the deputy director of the facility call me and called the driver the day before saying we were very professional, very patient, and he really enjoyed our business and wants us to definitely come back. So
that's good.
That's always good to know that someone higher up.
Yeah. When you get that from your customers, it just means it a lot, and it makes you proud.
Mm-hmm.
Know you're with a good company and doing things right. And our owner operators take good care of us. I tell you, there are faces, there are eyes out there. They are the ones that do the job while we sit up in here in this fancy office and, enjoy the day. Those guys are out there battling, climbing in and out of that trailer, making sure it's clean, busting their butts, making sure it's swept out, making sure that customer is taken care of. I mean, they're doing all the things that we don't see, out there every day to make it happen. There's a lot that goes through picking up that load and delivering that load that we never know about.
Oh, yeah.
That these guys do. And I tell you, I'm sure proud of them and appreciate the job that they do. So, with that being said, I appreciate you guys coming in and
appreciate you having me.
hanging
Thanks for
out
having
with
us.
us a little bit on a podcast. So wasn't too bad, was it? So,
No.
I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody listening to the podcast, and looking forward to seeing you guys. Be sure and remember, now you come to the new office, come in the back. You can come right to the back door. You can drive right up here in your truck and park and walk in here and make it easy. We'd like to, sure enough, visit with you a little bit, but of course it's still social distance and wearing a mask around this place. So keep that in mind as you come into the yard, and appreciate all you guys, what you do. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate or review the show in the podcast platform of your choice and share it with a friend. We love hearing from our audience, so if you've got a question, comment, or just want to say hello, head over to our website, theoakleypodcast.com, and click the Leave a Comment button. We'll get you a response soon and may even share some of the best ones here on the show. We'll be back with a fresh episode very soon. Thanks for listening.